Same, but is 95% cheaper, and you can get it online? Go to hims.com/joy. Through Hims, you'll get a free medical consultation, discreet shipping if prescribed, and the process is 100% online. To start your free online visit, go to hims.com/joy. That's HIMS.com/JOY.
Enjoy football season like never before at BetMGM. Sign up using promo code KOSTOS, KOSTOS, my last name, and receive up to $1,500 back in bonus bets if you don't win your first bet. BetMGM and GameSense remind you to gamble responsibly. Visit BetMGM.com for terms and conditions. Must be 21 years of age or older to wager. Arizona only. New customer offer. All promotions are subject to qualification and eligibility requirements. First online real money wager only. Rewards issued as non-withdrawable bonus bets. Bonus bets expire 7 days from issuance. Please gamble responsibly. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-NEXT step.
KCUB Tucson, a Cumulus media station. We are the sports station that Tucson turns to for all the latest news when it comes to Arizona men's basketball, along with all the play-by-play action. We are Wildcats Radio 1290. Live from the CNWT.
Wait, what's the CNWT?
Central Northwest Tucson, duh.
It's DK on the Sports Tip with your host, David Kelly.
Radio. Just when I thought I was out, they drug me back in.
Featuring J.W. Madden.
Don't tell me about flip-flops, man. I'm a native.
David Amata.
Hey, that's Dragon Ball to you.
And Cricket getting you home with traffic and weather.
Camp on Melt Lemon, not in the left lane on the freeway.
Here we go! And now, a man who has not one, but three first names, David Scott Kelly.
Who is going to start at quarterback for the Arizona Wildcats on Saturday when the U of A welcomes in the number 7 team in the country, the Washington Huskies? We know who's going to start at quarterback for them. Michael Penix Jr., one of the most dynamic throwers currently in college football. The question is, who is going to roll out for your Arizona Wildcats in the most important game this far of the Jedd Fisch era? Will it be the veteran, Jayden de Laura, who has made 32 starts, 31 decisions in those 32 starts, 15 wins, 16 losses? Or will it be Noah Fifita making his first start at the Division I level with one win under his belt, a come-from-behind victory last Saturday at Stanford? Also questions about whether Michael Wiley will appear after he left and missed most of Saturday's game in Palo Alto with an injury. I don't know the answers to those questions. Let's find out if Jedd Fisch knows the answers to those questions.
What are the statuses of guys like Jayden de Laura, Michael Wiley, others?
De Laura and Wiley will work out on Saturday. We'll see how they look. Kind of very similar to the Joe Burrow plan, we'll call it. And we'll see what that looks like. And the most important thing that you can do as a football player is protect yourself. So if you're unable to protect yourself, then I would expect them not to play. If they're able to protect themselves, then I would expect them to play.
Jedd, obviously this is why you came here. You came here to rebuild a program to this point to be able to play in a big ball game here in Tucson. So how do you contain your excitement for the moment you've waited for?
Yeah, I think it's been a process all the way throughout. We talk about you can either try to build a team or build a program. We've worked very hard to try to build a program. We understand that we're not nearly where we want to be yet. We're still trying to continue to improve in every facet of our program. I think that recruiting is continuing to get better every year that we've been here. And if we could keep recruiting at a high level, keep getting players in here through the portal, continue to build out the infrastructure to be a great team, starting with NIL. That has to be a huge part of your infrastructure as we continue to move on and move forward. And as I look at our program and look at where we're at, this is a great opportunity for us to go out there and use Washington as a measuring stick and see where we are right now. And there's going to be some challenges, as always, when you play a great football team. But I certainly am excited about this opportunity.
All right, that is the head coach of the Arizona Wildcats, Jedd Fisch. We'll hear more from him later on. A short show again on Thursday, as we've got National Football League action coming up for you here on Wildcats Radio 1290. The Detroit Lions playing their second Thursday night game of the season. Is Detroit all of a sudden important in the National Football League as they will travel to take on the Green Bay Packers? That is a 4:30, or at least the broadcast will start at 4:30. That game will actually get underway around 5:15. Is Detroit, have they arrived?
I'll tell you what they are. They're Green Bay Packers killers recently. They're four straight wins over the Packers, including the win last year that pretty much put the final nail in the coffin in the Aaron Rodgers era of Green Bay. So you got a chance to go ahead and make it 5 in a row for Detroit, take sole possession of first place in the NFC North, in a year where the division does not look particularly well, with Chicago and Minnesota still looking for their first wins on the year.
Yeah, everybody thought Minnesota was the team to beat there, but they have struggled to a 0-3 start. The Bears look absolutely terrible through their first 3 games. At least I believe the Minnesota Vikings have some talent. They just haven't necessarily played that well. But I think they're actually a pretty decent football team. But, yeah, you've got the NFC North. Very interesting now with the way that things have shaped out through these first 3 weeks of the season. Getting back to what you heard there from Jedd Fisch and your Arizona Wildcats, speaking of the NFL, kind of using the NFL vernacular there in terms of Michael Wiley and Jayden de Laura, questionable game time decisions. So this is going to be one of those games. You might want to be there for warm-ups when the team comes out. Although we may already know, who knows, they may try to get those guys there to the stadium a little earlier than normal before a lot of folks get in the building to kind of go through what they might need to go through to show, but still could be at the time when they warm up with the team under the normal circumstances, and we'll get a chance to find out whether or not either of those two guys are going to play. Noah Fifita will obviously go if Jayden cannot. And we've got the running back stable if Michael Wiley is not able to get out there on Saturday. Of course, we will be out at the Bear Down Friday tomorrow. So join us 3 to 6. We're going to be out at Illegal Pete's. We are there every Bear Down Friday. J-Dub and I, the whole Wildcats Radio 1290 crew on University Boulevard, getting you set for the Wildcats and the Washington Huskies at Arizona Stadium. DK on the Sports Tip at Bear Down Fridays is brought to you by Corona, an official corporate sponsor of Arizona Athletics. Corona and Bear Down Friday with our crew is the place to be. All right, 520-848-1290, 520-848-1290 is the number if you want to get in on this program today. Our question of the day today goes back to what our lead story was yesterday here, and that is the big NBA trade that went down and DeAndre Ayton's time with the Phoenix Suns ending. Phoenix put out a nice little video of him on their social media accounts being drafted number 1 overall, and of course the famed Valley Oop in the playoffs. Only 5 years, so the video wasn't that long.
I mean, hey, look, DeAndre, he had a couple of big moments. The Valley Oop will live on in infamy, I think, for a lot of Suns fans. But besides that, we don't really have a whole lot to go and hang the hat on there.
Yeah, that video was not that long. It was maybe a minute and a half, 2 minutes at the max. But, hey, at least they put one together for DeAndre Ayton. All right, so our question of the day, is the Suns trading DeAndre Ayton a good thing or a bad thing? What do you think about that? You can head over right now to our Twitter account at Wildcats1290 and vote on that right now. It's early. 67% of you saying the trading of DA is a good thing. Time to cut the cord. 33% saying no, it was a bad thing. DA needed just a little bit more time. So head on over right now. You can vote Wildcats1290. That is our Twitter account. You can also message us with a reply on that. Our other social media accounts at Wildcats Radio 1290, and let us know what you think of DeAndre Ayton, Arizona basketball class of 2018 getting dealt away his time here in the desert. I wonder, it'd be interesting how many kids, now obviously DeAndre didn't, quote, grow up in Arizona, but he did technically play some high school basketball, not for a Arizona high school, but a prep school here in the state of Arizona. Went to college here at the University of Arizona, played professionally at the Phoenix Suns. How many players do you think have done that? Not necessarily just in Arizona, but in any state where they played high school, college, pro, all in the same state. I wonder if there's a lot of those guys.
Well, I mean, there was
Rafer Alston.
Yeah, that's about it. I mean, in regards to anybody that comes to my mind initially, I know that there was I forget the.
Now, Rafer Alston went to ASU, right? Or was he no?
Rafer Alston, I know he played for the Knicks. He's from New York City. I was assuming he went to college somewhere around. I don't even know where he went to college.
I mean, the only guy
Did he go? Wasn't he one of those guys that didn't go to college?
Otherwise, Otherwise known as Skip to My Lou.
That's I thought he was. What's the park? Rucker Park. I thought he was Rucker Park.
Well, he was the And One. He was the guy who started And One.
Yeah.
Basically, it was based on his tapes. Is what And One came from.
The only guy that I can think of that in regards to played college ball and then played pro ball in the same state would maybe be no, because Alford didn't go to Indiana. They skipped him to take Reggie Miller. That's
so
right.
Rafer Alston did play in college. He played 3 seasons, one at Ventura in Los Angeles or Southern California, 1 year at Fresno City, and then
Fresno
for
State.
Jerry Tarkanian.
Yeah, that's
at
what
Fresno
it was.
State.
He played for Jerry Tarkanian. That's why I thought UNLV, because he went to Fresno State after Tarkanian left because of the scandals. DK, real quick, I do have 2 really fun stats that came out of the trade yesterday. You ready?
Yeah.
Number 1, the Bucks now have the all-time leading scorers for the New Jersey Nets, the Milwaukee Bucks, and the Portland Trailblazers. All play for them now.
Wow.
So Brook Lopez is the all-time leading scorer in Nets history. Dame Lillard, the all-time leading scorer in Portland Trailblazers history. And obviously Giannis, all-time leading scorer in Milwaukee Bucks history. 3 franchise leading scorers all now play for the same team. The other fun stat that came out from yesterday is Dame played there for 11 years in Portland. Now that he's not there anymore, there's only 3 players who have played with the same team for the last 10 seasons in a row.
In the total NBA?
All of the NBA. Any guesses?
3 players that have played for the same team for 10-plus seasons.
Yes. Famous players.
Wow. Gosh. That's a good one. That's a good one. I don't know that I can answer that question.
David Amata earlier, and I gave him a hint because he did not know, because very, very successful run these 3 players have had. The core of some championship teams. It's the Warriors core.
Oh.
Those 3 guys have all played for the Warriors for more than 10 years.
Yeah.
And those are the only 3 players. They also happen to play on the same team.
That's crazy. Yeah. I mean, and we talked about yesterday how it's nuts to think that essentially the entire team that took the Suns to the playoffs or to the finals is no longer there.
So volatile these days. People are just moving left and right. We talk about Kyrie and, KD forcing trades. Obviously, Dame forcing trade this summer. The superstars get a lot of, the credit for that. But guys, I mean, the entire league seems to be shifting every summer, every couple of summers. People are just going all over the place.
Yes. All right. Joining us is the 3rd member of our team.
Greetings.
I'm going to put everybody on camera today.
Uh-oh.
So it is, it's almost October, and so we come from the Midwest. I am from Ohio. And so some of the things that we're used to in Ohio in October don't necessarily happen with great affection out here. Although I do understand there was a pretty good Oktoberfest last weekend. Did you get a chance? I know a lot of people went to that from the station. Did you not go to that?
I did not.
Are you a big Oktoberfest person? Like, do you get into that?
I guess I could, but it's nothing I set out to do every year. I'm pretty boring. I know. I'm pretty bored, man.
You don't like schnitzel?
That sounds delicious. And brats and Stein hoisting and things like that.
Stein hoisting.
Yeah, it could be a contest, right?
Hey, that reminds me. Every time somebody says Oktoberfest, I think of the I Love Lucy episode where she's like they're singing, I want on a drink, and she starts to drink and everybody else keeps on singing. Have you ever seen? Did you grow up watching I Love Lucy?
I think I missed that.
No,
Maybe
you
it was
missed that one.
We are, yeah.
Okay.
a
Have
little
you
bit
ever
before
heard-
our time.
Yeah, but we had reruns on during our
For
childhood,
sure,
for
yeah.
sure.
Have you ever heard of a clam bake?
Yes.
Okay. Do they? They don't really do those out here though.
Boston
that's a
clam.
big
That's the
October
Boston
thing back
clam
east that they don't really do out here.
Yeah. No, I don't think that we do
That's
that.
the one
here.
with the Old Bay seasoning, right?
I don't know. I don't eat clam bakes. I just go to them and have fun and drink because I'm not into stuff that comes out of the water.
Yeah,
I don't really drink. I don't eat anything that comes out of the water. I'm not a fish or seafood kind of person.
You're not
But
the
I
kind
was-
of person that wants to go ahead and get a trash bag full
No.
of like corn on the cob,
Right.
crabs,
The
and everything.
crabs and
and then you boil it,
crawdads.
and then when you bring it to the table, you just cut the bag open, and it just
spills
spills
the- oh.
everywhere.
Yeah.
And people
That doesn't
throwing
sound
their
good.
skins and I don't know, whatever, everywhere.
So have you ever heard of Sweetest Day?
No.
No. Okay. So
What's that?
so we were talking about what was the one? What was the holiday we had last week? Or the pirate holiday, right? What was it? Talk like a pirate last week. So and I swear to God, I think Ohio's the only place that we do this. Sweetest Day is October the 14th, and it's essentially like Valentine's Day in the fall.
Okay.
So you do something nice for your girl or your guy or something like that. It's essentially, it's October the 14th, just like February the 14th. And I swear to God, Ohio is the only place that celebrates that because I'd never even heard of it. Any of the other places I've lived inside the United States, I've lived in North Carolina, California, Colorado, Michigan, but Ohio, I swear, is the only state that celebrates Sweetest Day.
Interesting.
So don't let your significant other find out about that one because they might want extra gifts now on October the 14th.
Well, great. Thanks for mentioning that, right?
Getting you home every 20 minutes on the fives with your traffic and your weather. Here is Cricket.
And from the O'Reilly Chevrolet Traffic Center, it's Wildcats Radio 1290 traffic and weather together. So a serious collision occurred on westbound I-10 near Tangerine. Freeway closed westbound 10 near Tangerine. We've got backups on westbound I-10 between Cortero to west of Tangerine. Also backups on the westbound I-10 frontage road approaching Marana Road. And on our surface streets, collisions Romero north of Roger and also Twin Peaks at I-10. 71 the low with clear skies tonight, 100 tomorrow, gusty winds on Saturday, and 99 now. I'm Cricket with your Wildcats Radio 1290 traffic and weather together.
Team. Court. Was football.
Get the way some things taste. Tastes like Miller Time. Celebrate responsibly.
play. If they're able to protect themselves, then I would expect them to play.
Arizona currently still sitting at a 19.5-point underdog to Washington ahead of the Saturday night contest here in Tucson. Well, spring football will be getting bigger this upcoming season as the XFL and USFL have both announced that they intend to merge and begin their play next season. Again, the transaction still needs to be completed, but the new league will be including 8 teams from the XFL and 8 teams from the USFL to create a 16-team league. The XFL currently is under new ownership with Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson and his ex-wife Danny Garcia as the main owners, while the USFL is currently under ownership of Fox Corp. That's your 2020 Sports Update. We'll have more for you here on Wildcats Radio 1290.
DK on the Sports Tip on Wildcats Radio 1290.
All right, let's talk to the voice of the Wildcats, as we always do on Thursdays at 3:20. His name is Brian Jeffries. And, Brian, we've been taking a walk down memory lane all season long, with this being the final year of the Pac-12 Conference. Our question of the day yesterday here at Wildcats 1290, which of these memories of the Arizona-Washington football rivalry is your favorite? The winner came out to be, and I was a little surprised by this, the winner was the 1992 upset of the number 1 Huskies. Tell us about that day.
Well, Arizona was ranked 12th, and I think that's something to keep in mind. So, both teams were off to a good start that year, and, Arizona's defense was absolutely suffocating, and I think that certainly stands out. I mean, to win at 16-3, your defense has to be good, and Arizona's was that day. And so I just remember the stadium was electric, over 58,000. I believe it was the second largest crowd in stadium history. And you felt from the outset that, the Wildcats had a chance to do it, and I think the crowd helped carry them to that win. So that's what stands out. Now, that's interesting because, the leap by the lake, when, people talk to me about the Arizona-Washington series, they talk about Ortiz Jenkins, somersault into the end zone that beat Washington and Seattle. Now that, the Huskies weren't number 1 that year, but, Arizona was the quote-unquote underdog in that game, and to win it in that fashion, that game, at least when I talk to people about the rivalry in the series, that one comes out more than anything. But, one other thing about that 92 game that stands out for me is the fact that Arizona passed for a grand total of 54 yards in that game, and they won it. They won it on the ground. They had a great ground game, and Washington, had a good passing attack. Sound familiar?
Yeah.
But the Huskies also turned the ball over 4 times. So, again, Arizona's defense was stellar that day, and that was the biggest reason the Cats won it.
Yeah, I looked at when I was looking back at some of the games. What I marveled was that the 2 games previous to that, in 90 and 91, Washington had scored 54 points in each of those games, and then they came here in 92 and only scored 3. So, again, like you said, that tells you how good the Wildcats' defense was. Number 2, obviously, was the game you mentioned, the leap by the lake. 41% came in and said that was the game that they remember the most in this particular rivalry. What was it like calling that drive as they went down there towards the end of the game to try to win that one?
Well, it was cold, it was wet, it was Seattle, so what else do you expect? And, you just the chances of, being able to win that game in that setting were probably pretty slim going into that final drive. And I remember, Arizona having to convert some 3rd and 4th downs on that drive that if not for that, it probably wouldn't have come down to that. I remember when OJ took the snap and kind of stepped back and then started running. The first thing that flashes through your mind is, oh, no. And then all of a sudden he goes head over heels into the end zone, and you go, oh, yes. I mean, it was just one of those unbelievable plays that, you don't practice that sort of thing. It was just instinct. And that will, OJ will be forever remembered for that play and certainly the significance of the win. Yeah,
I think that the thing, I heard him tell a story once about that particular play, and he said, all I remember was going airborne, and then the next thing I saw was the black sky as he started kind of somersaulting his way into the end zone for that touchdown. Number 3 on our list only got 11% of the votes, but this is probably the one I remember the most because I've only been here now for going on 16 seasons now. But that was the last time that the Wildcats beat the Washington Huskies back in 2014 at Arizona Stadium. Casey Skowron with his touchdown, fake field goal touchdown early in the game and then finishing things off with a game-winning field goal at the end of the game. Not too many games, I would imagine, in Arizona history where the kicker scored a touchdown and kicked a game-winning field goal.
Well, he led the team in scoring, right? In that game.
In that game. Well, he was a pretty good kicker, too.
Know, that one stands out. I think, the other one I'll throw in there, and I don't know if it was on your list or not, was 1998. Arizona's best team in school history by record when they went 12-1. And that was a tight game, and it was in Seattle, and Arizona won it by 3. I don't remember all the details of it. I don't know. Both teams were ranked, and if not for that, Arizona doesn't go 12-1. And so that was a really hard-fought contest. Little did we know at that time, of course, what it would lead to down the road, but that's one that stands out as well.
Brian Jeffries, the voice of the Wildcats, joining us. I was I know I think there was some, maybe 1 or 2 games where Gary Colston kicked game-winning field goals too. Does that sound correct in this series?
Yeah, I mean there had been some close games and have been some close games in this series. You mentioned a couple of those blowouts, and to be honest, quite recently during the 6-game losing streak, the Huskies, it really hasn't been all. I mean, last year was about as close as you get. That game was a lot closer than the final score indicated, and if not for I'll call it a questionable penalty late, who knows? Arizona might have been able to pull that out, but for the most part, Washington's kind of had the Cats' number here the last 6 times out, and see if they can turn it around on Saturday. All
right, Brian. Everybody wants to know if you know who's starting at quarterback on Saturday.
Well, if I did know, I couldn't tell you. So, I'm and to be honest, that's one thing that, I'm allowed to go to practice every day. So I see things that obviously I really can't talk about. And so I'll put it this way, they're getting 3 quarterbacks ready to go on Saturday. I mean, obviously if Jayden de Laura is healthy enough, he can play. They've got to get Noah, who, has been, I think close in terms of his preparation, but still hasn't gotten all the snaps that the starter would. And then Braden Dorman, they've got to get the true freshman ready to go, because if Jayden can't play for some reason and Noah becomes the starter, then you've got to have somebody else ready to go as well. And so the guy that was, and nobody's happy about injuries, but Cole Tannenbaum got to be Michael Penix in practice this week. And, anytime, a guy, when a guy's throwing for 400 yards a game, you want to emulate him in practice. And so Cole's had a good time this week, because all he has to do is stand back there out of the shotgun and throw the ball.
All right, so let's talk about Braden Dorman. I got a chance to obviously see him a little bit in training camp this year. What are you hearing about him? What are the impressions of him? He's completely different than the 2 guys that are in front of him, and Jayden de Laura and Noah Fifita.
Yeah, Braden's out of Colorado, and he's basically your drop back kind of passer. He's 6'5", 220 something, has a very strong arm. Had a great career up in Colorado Springs. He's different than the 2 guys in front of him, simply because both Noah and Jayden have that ability to use their feet. I don't think that, and I'm not saying by any means that Braden is a slow guy. We haven't seen him in a game. We haven't seen anybody chasing him yet. But he's more of a traditional drop-back kind of guy, tall, rangy, strong arm, got a great future ahead of him. And so that's the biggest difference from what I've seen so far.
And in terms of Noah Fifita, what impressed you most about what he was able to do last Saturday at Stanford to bring the Wildcats back from behind to win that game?
Well, I think just play with confidence. He's been in the program for 2 years now. His teammates believe in him. He believes in them. Again, he's a great student of the game. He studies film. He studies the playbook. I mean, he is fully ready to go. And as Jed Fish tells these guys all the time, you're one play away. At every position, you're one play away from being on the field. So you better be ready. And he is a perfect example of being ready, and last week was a great example. To me, he really hadn't played in a pressure situation. You go back to his games last year, it was mop-up duty. Earlier this season, mop-up duty. And now here he is, conference game, on the road, game on the line, and he goes out there and is, flawless in leading the team to the game-winning touchdown. And so I think that tells you a lot about, where he's at in terms of his mental ability to go into a situation. And if he plays on Saturday, that's the thing he's going to carry with him. Now, it would be totally different, of course, in a starting role if that's what ends up to be, knowing that, everything's kind of on his shoulders. Last week, one of those things where, hey, you're in and you don't have time to think about it. And so I think that would be the big difference depending on, what happens this week. So I think that, as Coach said, they have a lot of confidence in him. He's not in an Arizona uniform because they're not afraid to use him. Yeah, they'll, if needed, that's why you have a guy ready to go. And so, he'll get his turn at some point this week or next season or whenever it might be. And, I still think he's still a young guy. He's still got 4 full years, if you count this one, that he's got a great future ahead of him.
All right, Brian, you were, I should say, a parent of 2 University of Arizona graduates. It is family weekend this weekend. We've got the Red Blue game on Friday night and the football game on Saturday. What do you want to recommend to the parents who are coming upon Southern Arizona this weekend to take in our fabulous university?
Stay off the streets, please. Just take an Uber. Let somebody else do the driving, and I'm not assuming that any adult beverages will be consumed. I'm just saying that the traffic gets crazy this weekend, and so, but enjoy it. I mean, that's it. And I was fortunate, my wife and I fortunate because we live here, and so we got to see our kids on a regular basis. But I know so many of my friends that that live out of town, and this is the first time they've seen their sons or daughters maybe since late July, and that's always kind of, and I was witness to that a couple of times when some friends would come into town and the tears are flowing. I haven't seen their son or daughter in months, and it's especially when they're freshmen, it's their first time really away from home. So I just say have some fun and enjoy it, and get to the game early and stay late. And I think that's going to be a big part of this weekend. And I talk about it all the time that this is the next step for the Arizona program that Jedd Fisch has recruited. He's built things, as he said today. They've still got a ways to go, but they made some big strides. And, that fan base is going to be the next thing that's going to boost them to another level. And so, I will also recommend that even though a lot of parents want to sit with their kids during the game, you're not supposed to go into the Zona Zoo, but I see cheaters all the time. Somehow they sneak into the zoo and sit with their kids. Go for it. I'm not going to dissuade anybody from trying.
All right. Brian Jeffries, the voice of the Wildcats. Have a great call on Saturday night, Brian.
Right, thanks. All right, see you.
Brian Jeffries, always great to talk to, the legendary play-by-play man for your Arizona Wildcats. All right, getting you home every 20 minutes on the fives with your traffic and your weather. Here's the great cricket.
From the O'Reilly Chevrolet Traffic Center, this is your Wildcats Radio 1290 traffic and weather together. Westbound I-10 closed near Tangerine due to a collision westbound side of I-10. It is closed near Tangerine. Those freeway backups on the westbound side of I-10 traffic stop and go between Cortero Farms Road to nearly Marana Road, and the westbound I-10 frontage road heavy backups approaching Marana Road. Weather-wise, 71 and clear overnight, 100 tomorrow, gusty winds on Saturday. 99 now. I'm Cricket with your Wildcats Radio 1290 traffic and weather together.
This report.
1290. 2020 Sports.
Well, after shutting out Oregon in their first Pac-12 game, the Wildcats soccer team now takes their trip out to the Bay Area for games against Cal and Stanford. The Bears first up on that docket. Head coach Becca Morrow says the team isn't looking past the team in Cal and what they say will be a key trip for them this season.
You know, the goal is always to put together your most comprehensive performances and do it back to back to back to back. So we have an opportunity now to come off of a good performance. If we've righted the ship, then we need to keep it going in that direction. And Cal's got some powerful players and things that we'll have to manage and be prepared for and be clean and professional in what we're doing. So I think it's going to be a great opportunity for us on Thursday.
And Cal and Stanford both won their Pac-12 openers, with Stanford still sitting atop the conference as the only team without a loss so far this season. The NHL preseason's already underway, but a major injury could keep one Cup contender from getting a good start to the season in October, as Tampa Bay Lightning have announced that goaltender Andrei Vasilevsky will miss the first 2 months of the upcoming season due to a recent back surgery. The Lightning are aiming for their 7th straight postseason appearance. That's your 2020 Sports Update. We'll have more for you here on Wildcats Radio 1290.
DK on the Sports Tip on Wildcats Radio 1290.
All right, updating you on that Arizona soccer game going on up in Berkeley right now. They are 33 minutes in to that one, and there is no score between Arizona and Cal. Both these teams enter at 1 win, 0 losses in the Pac-12 conference. Cal has a player named Kylie Kerr. Might that be Steve's youngest daughter, potentially?
I'm not 100% sure on that one, no.
And speaking of Steve Kerr, we'll hear from head coach Jed Fish later on, but he said he spoke to one Mr. Steve Kerr today as he gets ready for the game on Saturday.
That would be a no. It says here, daughter of Mickey and Andy, dad played hockey for New Hampshire.
Okay. All right. Well, you never know.
So many Kerrs out there in the world.
There are a lot of them. So good to check on that. All right. You know what time it is? Do you know what time it is? Can we get that moose? What time is it? It's not hump day, though. It is time for the Pigskin Challenge, the Miller Lite Pigskin Challenge.
Wait, hold on. That's not a moose in the commercial. It's a camel.
Camel, whatever. Camel, moose. All right.
It's a very different
That's the same
animal.
thing. You're like the people that criticize me for calling I called the prairie dogs that are on the golf course meerkats, and people got mad at me because I said that.
I will not besmirch you for saying Boulevard versus Avenue at the very least.
I think a moose is just a North American camel with antlers, though.
Well,
right?
there you
Basically.
go.
Deer, yeah, something like that.
Caller number 5 right now. 5. If you're watching us on one of our many streams, that would be Twitter, Twitch, Facebook Live, YouTube. Caller number 5 right now, 520-848-1290. 520-848-1290 gets a chance to go up against me for a $25 Miller Lite gift card. We got a picture from our guy, John Bailina, who was week 1, and he didn't get the gift card. He actually got the prize pack because he lost. He took the Bears, and, the Bears haven't won anything yet this year. And I had the Packers, but it looks like that prize pack's got some pretty good stuff in it. I see a hat. I see a mug. I see maybe a golf towel, potentially, and maybe a mouse pad, too. So, and actually a bucket. It all comes in a bucket. So you got a Miller Lite bucket to put your ice in on Sundays when you're watching your favorite NFL team. So have at all of that. Get in here now. Caller number 5 with a chance to win. We've got mega NFL going on. Dragon Ball coming up this week. We've got obviously Detroit and Green Bay tonight. That coverage will start at 4:30. We've got Bijan Robinson, folks. Bijan at 6 a.m. on Sunday.
Heading out across the pond.
At Wembley Stadium in London. The Falcons and the Jaguars. You can hear that game at 6 a.m.
And
here on Wildcats 1290.
Bijan and the Falcons will get to go ahead and come home after that game. The Jaguars have another game right after this in London as well. So they have back-to-back
They got to
games.
stay there for 2 games?
They are there for 2
That
straight
is a
games.
lot
How did
of
that
boiled.
happen?
That's a lot of boiled food, guys.
Yes.
How did that happen?
I don't know, but they got the Falcons this week, and then they got the Bills next week, and both of those games are at 6:30 in the morning, both as overseas games in their international series. That will actually be at Tottenham Hotspur Stadium out in
Ooh.
London rather than Wembley, which is where they'll play this week.
Okay. All right. And then Sunday night football, Kansas City at the New York Jets. The all over the place New York Jets.
Look out.
Is Joe
Namath is
Namath
gonna suit
starting?
up.
Is he going to start against Patrick Mahomes?
At
Patrick Mahomes got a little dinged up in that game last week, didn't he?
Yeah, well, he'll be fine. He's been listening
Yeah.
to Taylor Swift in this locker room, and supposedly she will be back to watch that game this week as
I
well,
kinda figured.
according to what has been said. So clearly a lot of commitment being shown by Taylor to be
Yeah.
willing to watch the Jets by choice.
Well, I wonder if Kansas City had been playing in Pittsburgh or Cleveland, if she would have gone to see them play. But it's New York City, so that makes sense.
Yeah.
All right. It is the Miller Lite Pigskin Challenge. Let's talk to Andrew. Andrew, you are on DK on the Sports Tip, Wildcats Radio 1290. Andrew, how old are you and where are you from?
30 from Tucson, Arizona.
30 from Tucson, Arizona. What's your favorite NFL team?
Unfortunately, the Denver Broncos.
Oh, I thought I might have recognized a Colorado area code there attached to your name. Denver Broncos, man, 70-20. What are your thoughts on? You think Russell Wilson is still a guy, or is he over the hill now?
He was over the hill before we traded for him.
You are not wrong on that. You are not wrong on that. But hey, at least you have Super Bowls that you can put your name on. John Elway got 2 and Peyton Manning got another, so things can't all be bad, right? And the Nuggets won the Nuggets won the NBA Finals last year.
Yeah, Nuggets won the NBA Finals. Our Avs won the Stanley Cup a few years back. So
And
we're
the
rocking
Rockies will never win a World Series. I've said that from the day they came into Major League Baseball. They'll never win a World Series.
That is very true.
All right. So the game we are going to, here's how this works, Andrew. I pick the game, you pick the first team that you want and you think will win, and I get the team that you do not select. And if your team wins, you get a $25 gift card from Miller Lite. If your team loses and my team wins, you get a prize pack from Miller Lite, which I understand there's some fabulous stuff in this prize pack. A hat, it's a bucket, looks like maybe a golf towel, and some other stuff. So the game we are going to be playing in the Miller Lite Pigskin Challenge this week is the Miami Dolphins at the Buffalo Bills. Which team do you think is right now? I'll give you the line. The Bills are a 2.5-point favorite. You saw firsthand what the Miami Dolphins can do offensively because you're a Broncos fan, and they lost by 50. So who do you want in that game?
Oh, man, this is a tough one, but I'm going to go with the home team and go Buffalo here. I think we were able to move the ball on Miami, but our defense could not stop them. And I think Buffalo's team gets a little bit of stops here, and they pull out the victory.
He's going to take the Buffalo Bills over the Miami Dolphins on Sunday. I would imagine that is the national game. It kicks off at 10 a.m. on CBS from Orchard Park, New York. Outstanding. When's the last time you went to a Broncos game, Andrew?
Oh, probably 3 or 4 years ago.
Okay, outstanding. And do you have like family there still? Season tickets? Do you have to buy your tickets when you go back?
A family there. I got a aunt in the front office, so she donates a ticket a year.
Is that right? Your aunt works in the front office for the Broncos.
Yes.
That is a excellent opportunity to take advantage of right there. Excellent.
Yes,
excellent. All right, Andrew, so here's how it works. You'll have to come back on the show with us on Monday, and we will go over what happened between the Dolphins and the Bills. How's that? So stay on the line. J-Dub is going to get your information, and we will talk to you again on Monday.
Sounds good.
Thank you, Andrew. Andrew is in this week's Miller Lite Pigskin Challenge, Miami at Buffalo. he is taking the Buffalo Bills. I was surprised. I thought he would go Dragon Ball. I thought he would take the Dolphins on that one.
Well, considering how the Bills have done against the Dolphins the last couple of seasons so far, for me, it's you want to pick the team that has a little bit more of the number for the other one, especially if you got a division matchup. The game where the Bills lost to Miami last year, that was in Miami. It was a close game, but then they went and came up to the Buffalo area. 35-29 was that game. Then they go ahead and they beat the Dolphins in a 34-31 game in the wild card round last season before eventually losing to the Bengals in the divisional. So the Bills have a history of handling the Dolphins at home. The offense does still travel with Miami going up to Buffalo, but I think it's just that little bit of home field advantage. Let's be honest here. It is not an easy thing to go into Highmark Stadium, the home of the Bills, and come away with a win.
Wow, I'm surprised you knew that. You knew the name of that stadium, Highmark. I still thought it was Ralph Wilson Stadium.
Right.
I don't play with these. These corporate names.
You hear them so much now, but Orchard Park is not an easy place to win in. I think that the Dolphins, their offense has been very good up to this point. Obviously, scoring 70, could have had 73 and broken the record had they decided not to kneel on the last play against the Broncos. But the Dolphins' offense keeps up pace with the Bills in Orchard Park, but they just don't usually have enough to win in New York. Maybe it's got something to do with the weather. The last few games have been in the late winter in those contests where Buffalo has won. So maybe they get them early enough. It's still warm enough in New York to go ahead and keep that, hot Miami offense ablaze. But I think the Bills, they have a bit of a history of beating Miami in New York, and right now you just go ahead and you play the home field advantage and give them that extra 3 points is probably what the line is for him right now. It's close.
2.5.
I like his chances of coming away the winner on this one, but we'll have to wait and see because, again, it's not been a good start so far for Josh Allen this season compared to where Tua Tagovailoa is looking as a clear MVP favorite to start this season.
Josh Allen, 728 yards passing through the first 3 games of the season, 5 touchdowns, 4 interceptions. He's been sacked 7 times already this year. On the other side, Tua Tagovailoa, 1,000 yards, 24 passing, 8 touchdowns, and just 2 interceptions this season. So
the big question mark for this game is going to be which running attack comes up and comes first in this contest. Again, the Bills have had a long history of not really having that, quote, bell cow as the running back. James Cook has been good so far this season, 267 yards already rushing the season, but still hasn't gotten in the end zone yet. In the end, the running attack still sadly goes through Josh Allen, and it should not be the case if you want him to be around in January for deep playoff runs. If the Bills' offensive line can take control and force the Dolphins' defense to backpedal, try to catch up to their running game, then maybe it gives the Bills enough of a chance. But they desperately need James Cook and that offensive line to start setting the tempo early against Miami's defense, which I would say is probably one of the better units. But the offense reminder for that game that they scored 70, it was all offensive touchdowns. But the defense did get a few turnovers in that game as well. So this defense is opportunistic in Miami.
Josh Allen, that's my quarterback on my fantasy team. Got me a win last week, an upset win over the number 2 team in my fantasy league, and I told you I'm in last place right now, but I did get a win last week, so things are on the up and up. That's a good thing.
There
All
you
right,
go.
coming up in the 4 o'clock hour, we'll check in with your Diamondbacks. They already played today in Chicago. It did not go as we would hope it to go. We will hear from Kelvin Ifan, our Arizona insider this week, and also we will update you on our question of the day. Is the Suns trading of DeAndre Ayton a good thing or a bad thing? Short show today, taking you up to NFL football on Westwood 1 at 4:30. The Detroit Lions and the Green Bay Packers, an NFC North showdown of a pair of 2-1 teams. Somebody will be in first place in the NFC North at the end of the night. This is DK on the Sports Tip. I am David Kelly. You're listening to Wildcats Radio 1290.
From the O'Reilly Chevrolet Traffic Center, it is Wildcats Radio, 1290 Traffic and Weather together. Overnight road work tonight along I-10 between Keno Parkway and Rita Road. Also westbound I-10 near Tangerine. Serious collision occurred there, and westbound I-10 is closed near Tangerine. Freeway backups on the westbound side of I-10 between Twin Peaks to Tangerine, and more backups on the westbound I-10 frontage road approaching Marana Road. And also, we've got some slowdowns, normal slowdowns westbound on Ahaway at Mission. 71 the low tonight with clear skies. And 100 tomorrow, gusty winds Saturday, 99 now. I'm Cricket with your Wildcats Radio, 1290 Traffic and Weather together.
This report is sponsored by Lowe's. Lowe's knows fall is the perfect time for outdoor projects. Right now, you can keep your yard looking its best and save. Take care of leaves with leaf blowers starting at just $89.98. Lowe's knows home improvement. While supplies last, see store for details.
I thought I was going to have to go through a hip replacement or some painful, unsuccessful surgery.
With the latest advances in regenerative medicine, non-surgical treatments with lasting relief.
I felt immediate relief. I mean, within half a day, much of the inflammation and pain was down.
And today, Dan says he's totally pain-free, living the life he wants.
At the end of the fourth treatment, I felt pretty much healed and enthused and was raving about QC Kinetics. I can recommend them highly to anyone.
Call QC Kinetics now for your free consultation.
Call QC Kinetics, 520-497-4955. That's 520-497-4955. 520-497-4955.
Desert Fury is here, and the Wildcats need you in Arizona Stadium. Double or triple your Arizona football experience by picking your plan. The Desert Fury plan doubles your games. Choose from Washington or UCLA, and then choose from Oregon State or Utah games starting at just $35. The 3-game flex plan triples your games. Choose any 3 games starting at just $46. Pick your plan by going to ArizonaWildcats.com/FB, and we'll see you at Arizona Stadium.
Hi everyone, I'm here on my computer with artificial intelligence ChatGPT.
Hello human male announcer.
Chat, we have some questions.
I have answers. By the way, you are very handsome.
Well, thank you. First question, do you know of any place besides Tobacco Barn where you can save up to 40% on your favorite tobacco products?
Only Tobacco Barn offers up to 40% off, and you're very sexy.
Okay. Do you know of any place besides Tobacco Barn where you pay no city or state sales tax because they're on the reservation?
Only Tobacco Barn.
And you get up to another $3 off with a coupon at TobaccoBarnTucson.com.
Do you have a girlfriend?
Actually, I'm married.
Once you go ChatGPT, you can never go back.
Great googly moogly. Get up to 40% off. Pay no city or state sales tax. Get up to $3 off with a coupon at TobaccoBarnTucson.com, and use caution when using ChatGPT.
But you haven't even seen my extended supercharged external processor yet.
Oh, brother. Tobacco Barn, Nogales Highway, just south of Valencia.
Discover credit cards automatically double all the cash back you earn at the end of your first year, which means... Wait, hold up. Question for the audio engineer.
Go ahead.
Did I read that right? Discover automatically doubles all your cash back?
Yeah, that's what the script says.
So if I get a Discover card right now, I can earn twice the cash back.
Apparently. Wait! Unlimited first-year cash back match, only from Discover. See terms and learn more at discover.com/match.
Finding great candidates to hire can be like, well, trying to find a needle in a haystack, but not with ZipRecruiter. Its powerful technology actively finds and invites qualified candidates to apply to your job. So while other companies might deliver a lot of hay, ZipRecruiter finds you the needle in the haystack.
See why 4 out of 5 employers who post a job on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. Try ZipRecruiter for free at ZipRecruiter.com/free. That's ZipRecruiter.com/free.
KCUB Tucson, a Cumulus media station. We bring you the best coverage in Tucson of Jedd Fisch and the Arizona Wildcats football all year long. When you hear the Cats on the radio, you're listening to 1290. We are Wildcats Radio 1290.
Cookie wants to be a professional wrestler.
I'm Cookie Serratos, and I'm 11 years old.
She also wants to win all the medals. That's why Cookie and her family make every day count, squeezing out her best with Go-Go Squeeze.
Okay, Cookie, let's break for a Go-Go Squeeze.
Go-Go Squeeze Fruit on the Go pouches are a nutritious snack made from 100% fruit with no sugar added.
Go, Cookie!
Because when you nurture your kids, you squeeze out the best in them. Squeeze out the best with Go-Go Squeeze. Not a low-calorie food. Products range from 11 to 13 grams of sugar and 60 to 70 calories per serving.
Wildcats Radio 1290. 2020 Sports.
Well, it was the last home game for former University of Arizona baseball great Terry Francona in his time as the Cleveland Guardians manager, and the fans in Cleveland showed their love for Tito, even having the longtime skipper come out to perform a curtain call.
Fans have arrived early, sporting their red Thank You Tito t-shirts. He said, let's go, right?
Yeah, I'm sure he wants the game to start, but they won't let it. And rightfully so.
Francona hasn't stated if he would return to managing at any point later in the future. He said simply he wants to see what he misses in his time away from baseball. Well, a bizarre story out of Philadelphia. A support animal was denied entry to a Phillies game on Wednesday. And that support animal? A near 5-foot-long alligator in the streets of Philadelphia. The stadium policy was that certified service dogs as well as service dogs in training were welcome, with all other animals prohibited. And the photos showing the alligator, apparently now known as Wally, were showing up all over social media on Wednesday. After 2020 Sports Update, we'll have more for you here on Wildcats Radio 1290.
Live from the CNWT.
Wait, what's the CNWT?
Central Northwest Tucson. Duh.
It's DK on the Sports Tip with your host, David Kelly.
Radio. Just when I thought I was out, they drug me back in.
Featuring J.W. Madden.
Don't tell me about flip-flops, man. I'm a native.
David Amata.
Hey, that's Dragon Ball to you.
And Cricket getting you home with traffic and weather.
Camp on Mount Lemon, not in the left lane on the freeway.
Here we go! And now, a man who has not one, but 3 first names. David Scott Kelly. Diamondbacks download.
Baseball stuff!
D-backs trying to get to the playoffs, playing the final game of a 3-game series in Chicago against the White Sox today, looking to try to secure a 3-game sweep and put themselves in an even better position to lock up a playoff spot. Unfortunately, today it did not happen.
And Vaughn cranks one high and deep to left. Gurriel is out of room. Driven out into deep left center field, and it's gone. Second homer of the day.
All right, so the final score in that one was 3-1 in favor of the Chicago White Sox. So Arizona is coming home for the final 3 games of this season. Here is where we stand right now in the National League wild card race. The Phillies have locked up the top spot at 89 and 69. The D-backs have a 1.5 game lead over both the Marlins and the Cubs, who are tied for that 3rd spot. The Diamondbacks' magic number right now is just 2. So any combination of 2 wins for Arizona, 2 losses for the Marlins and or the Cubs, and the Diamondbacks are in the postseason for the first time since 2017. The Reds sitting at a 1.5 games behind the Marlins and the Cubs, and Cincinnati right now at 81 and 79 is on life support, you might say. So Astros and the Diamondbacks tomorrow. It'll be a 6:40 first pitch at Chase Field. It'll be J.P. France for the Astros on the mound against Zach Gallen. Can't ask for a better guy to send out there. Gallen with a chance to finish with 18 victories on the season if he can pick up a win there tomorrow. Astros come to town, and their situation is even more interesting as they are right now sitting in the 3rd spot in the American League wild card race at 87 and 72. The Mariners have essentially fallen out of this thing at a game and a half now behind the Astros. So it looks like it's going to be Tampa Bay, Toronto, and Houston in the American League wild card to go into the playoffs on that side of the ledger. The Rangers right now have a 2.5 game lead on the Astros. So I'd imagine if they're playing tonight, they could potentially wrap up the American League West title. Could the Texas Rangers with a win and an Astro loss? So the playoffs looking, what is it? Do we have that? JW, you've been kind of giving us our number in terms of the percentage. I think you said it was an 89% chance.
It was
yesterday.
76, and then it got up to 88. Let me double check really quick. Yeah, I mean, I can't imagine it's gone up.
Yeah, it's probably, if anything, just staying about where it is.
Yeah, let's see. The
Still
Arizona
feeling good,
Diamondbacks
though. Still feeling good about ourselves.
Believe it or not, it says 94.8% chance.
94.8% chance.
Yeah, the Padres are less than 1% chance. Cubs are 30. Reds 4%. Marlins 70.5.
All right, let's go ahead and hear from the manager of the Arizona Diamondbacks after today's ball game, a 3-1 loss in Chicago to the White Sox. Here's Torey Lovullo.
Like I've been saying, we got to win every baseball game that we're playing, and we didn't do that today. So there's some frustration, and we just got to be better. We got to be better in all areas, and we had some opportunities early. I feel like if we had scored some early runs, it might have been a different story, but. At the end of the day, we only had 3 hits, and offensively, it's just not gonna get it done in a crunch time situation. But I ask a lot of this team. I'll continue to ask a lot of this team, and it's been a little bit of a grind. But we're conditioned to it. That's what we're supposed to do. I think maybe we are a little bit fatigued, but I think everybody is right now. But coming home will be nice. We want to get home, regroup the troops a little bit, and play a good baseball game. That's where my sights are. But yeah, it's been a little bit of a grind. A little bit of a grind coming back and forth to New York and Chicago a couple times this month.
Yeah, it's been a tough last 2 road trips. You had to go to Chicago and then New York, and then back home, and then back to New York and Chicago to play both the White Sox, Mets, Cubs, and the Yankees. So just a lot of back and forth flying for this team, but they still got to finish this thing off, and they've got a shot with 3 games. Should be fun. You got Astros. They're coming in here playing for something. They're trying to get to the postseason, and so are the Diamondbacks. So you got 2 teams that need to win games this weekend, the final weekend of the season, and that's what you want in Major League Baseball. All right, this is a shorter segment than normal because we've got Kelvin Ifan coming up, but I do want you to hear a little bit more from Jedd Fisch, who spoke today at his press conference ahead of the game on Saturday with the Washington Huskies. Here's a little bit more from the head football coach of the U of A Wildcats, Jedd Fisch.
That they're scary good on offense. What are they best at?
Well, I mean, I think there's no question that they throw the ball beautifully. They have an outstanding passing attack. They have great wide receivers. They have an outstanding offensive line. Their quarterback is elite. That's not to say that they don't have great running backs and tight ends, but they have a great scheme. I think Coach DeBoer is one of the better, if not one of the best offensive coaches in all of the country. And Coach Grubb and him together is a great combination. And they put their guys in position to make plays. They make plays. They're outstanding. They're outstanding on offense. And but we don't shy away from anybody on offense. We think we're one of the best offenses in the country. And, we're right now sitting at 30th in the country. A lot of times what happened, we're 3 points below where we were last year. We had 117 points within 4 weeks last year. We have 114 points this year. But very different type of games we've played. We haven't had to outscore people. So we certainly feel like our offense can match up with anybody. But these guys are elite when it comes to how they pass the ball, how they get their guys open, how they compete for the ball in the air. And our defense is going to have a great challenge one-on-one.
2 questions. How do you handle the amount of practice versus playing in terms of the game? Like, do they have to practice a certain amount, or do you trust Jaden and Michael because they're older to maybe practice less?
Yeah, I would say that is certainly something that we need to look at for each player independently and individually. Jaden has started 32 Pac-12 or 32 football games already in his career. Mike has started, I think, probably in that same range, I would guess. That's very different than a guy that started 4 games or 2 games or 7 games or whatever it might be. You look back historically, when Jaden played Washington 2 years ago, he was at Washington State. When he played him last year, he was here. He has experiences in what they do. Mike has experiences in what they do. So we always are cautious of that. We don't really want to set a precedent that, how much do you practice will determine how much you play. He was certainly out at, on yesterday's practice. So we'll have to see what it looks like today to make some more decisions.
All right, that is the head coach of the Arizona Wildcats, Jedd Fisch. Let's get a break in here, and we'll talk to Kelvin Ifan about this Saturday's game before we get out of here for NFL football coming up at the bottom of the hour. This is DK on the Sports Tip. I'm David Kelly. You're listening to Wildcats Radio 1290.
This From the O'Reilly Chevrolet Traffic Center, it is Infinite. Hey, if you're thinking of getting the latest iPhone, you need to stop and check out the amazing wireless offer from Boost Infinite. For more, just pick up your phone and dial pound 250 and say Boost Infinite. That's pound 250 and Boost Infinite. You'll have the option to receive a one-time auto-dialed text message from this station.
Saturdays are made for football, and when the game is on, we're finally off. Off duty, offline, out of office. A cracked Coors Light is our do not disturb message to the world. On game day, we don't think about the 9 to 5, but worry about the 4th and 1. So this Saturday, grab a Coors Light, press play on some pigskin, and pause on everything else. Coors Light, mountain cold refreshment, made to chill. 2021 Coors Brewing Company, Golden, Colorado. Celebrate responsibly.
Wake up, Eugene! You're gonna be late again!
Go away, Doug. You're interrupting my dream about getting new tires installed.
Right, Eugene. And last week before you borrowed my car to get groceries, you were dreaming of an extra large bag of Cheezos.
Exactly, Doug. I can see the future. I'm practically clairvoyant.
Not sure you have that gift, but you do have an appointment for new tires at Jack Furrier Tire and Auto Care. So let's get going.
If you insist.
I do insist because I'm dreaming of you driving your own car for a change.
Great choice, Eugene. Jack Furrier Tire and Auto Care will turn your tire dreams into reality at any of our 14 area locations.
And remember, Jack Furrier Tire and Auto Care's one low price includes all the tire installation services you need.
Tire mounting and balancing, new rubber valve stems, and we'll even rotate and repair your tires at no extra charge.
That's $95 in savings.
This is Sean Furrier. Since 1960, Jack Furrier Tire and Auto Care. Here to get you there.
By texting 64,000, you agree to receive recurring automated marketing messages from Babbel. Message and data rates may apply. No purchase required. Terms apply. Available at babbel.com/TNC.
What's holding you back from learning the language you've always wanted to know?
Too hard. Takes too long.
Not with Babbel. Babbel's lessons take just 15 minutes a day. And they're fun, so you don't realize you're learning a language, but you are. In 3 weeks, you're able to start having conversations.
And with Babbel, it isn't hard. It's perfect.
And now try Babbel free. Text radio to 64,000. Text radio to 64,000.
I've always gotten tons of UTIs. Cranberry products never worked for me, and I was desperate for a way to be proactive. I'm Jenna Ryan, CEO and founder of Eucora. We've worked with doctors to develop effective urinary tract health products. Eucora is helping over 100,000 women stay healthy. Ready to join them? Get 30% off at eucora.com/radio. That's UQORA.com/.
2020 Sports.
The Diamondbacks just needed a win and a Cubs loss to clinch their spot in the postseason, but could not complete that sweep against the White Sox as they end up falling in Chicago with a struggling game from Bryce Jarvis on the mound as a 2-run blast put Arizona behind early.
And Vaughn cranks one high and deep to left. Gurriel is out of Rome. 2-0 in the second.
That one leaked to the inside part of the plate, and Andrew didn't get it all, but just barely got enough of it.
Luckily, the D-backs came into the day with a 2-game lead over the Marlins and Cubs at the beginning of Thursday's slate of games. They will have a chance to go ahead and clinch a postseason berth tomorrow. And tonight you have a matchup between two hated rivals in the NFC North as the Lions headed into Lambeau looking for another win over the Packers after knocking out Green Bay of the postseason competition last season in the final week of the year. Lions quarterback Jared Goff can lead Detroit to a 4th straight win over Green Bay and place the team in total control of first place in the division, while Jordan Love looks to do what his predecessor and Aaron Rodgers could not and defeat Detroit at home. That's your 2020 Sports Update. We'll have more for you here on Wildcats Radio 1290.
It's the 5 o'clock hour, and it's time for our Arizona Insiders.
Am I late? No, my boy, you're just in time.
Each weekday, Wildcats Radio 1290 brings you all the latest news and opinions on U of A football and the Pac-12. So bear down, Tucson, and let's talk Arizona football. Our Arizona Insiders are brought to you by Coors Light, official corporate sponsors of Arizona Athletics. There's nothing like game day in Arizona.
And you're a little early, as we always say on Thursday. Arizona Insider in the 4 o'clock hour versus the 5 o'clock hour, because we've got National Football League action coming up for you. Bottom of the hour starts our coverage for Detroit at Green Bay. That'll be a 5:15 kickoff from Lambeau Field tonight. Joining us, as always, on Thursday in this time slot is the captain, Kelvin Ifan, U of A football class of 1998. Kelvin, Wildcats and the Washington Huskies coming up this Saturday at the stadium. Well, the moment has arrived for Jedd Fisch. He came in here. He went on a path of rebuilding this program to have an opportunity to play big ball games at Arizona Stadium, and he's got one this Saturday against the number 7 team in the country.
Yeah, yes, he do, man, and we're familiar with Washington. I mean, we all know how tough it is for the Wildcats in the past against Washington, and we had some big wins against them, but this is a tough Washington team that's coming in here fully loaded.
It's funny because, you know, a few years ago, they had Jimmy Lake there, and the whole mantra was run the damn ball and all that whole thing. And now it's basically pass the damn ball, because that's pretty much what they do, and they do best. And when you go back and you look at the history of this series, I mean, a lot of high-scoring games that where teams scored in the 50s and the 40s. I mean, I would imagine the game in 1992 where the Wildcats upset, and Brian Jeffries was on the show earlier. He said that in that particular day, I think the Cats only threw for 54 yards in the entire game. That might be one of the few games where there wasn't a whole lot of passing in this particular series. When you look at some of the names like Mark Brunell and Nick Foles that have played in this series.
Yeah, no. When you think about it and you think of Washington Huskies, you would think pound it and come right at you, running the football, being aggressive with all big offensive line, and then you think about Arizona just being playing defensive ball. In our history, playing defensive ball, always running the ball, running the clock, trying to punt, field position type game. So you would have thought that most of these games came out pretty close, but again, as you said, a lot of big scores.
All right, Kelvin, I want to go back to your game balls from earlier this week that you gave out, and you gave, obviously, one on defense. We'll start with Jacob Manu. What would you like about what Jacob did last week and has continued really just to do this entire season for this defense?
Just making tackles. He's a sure tackler. He's a guy that if the ball carrier is around him, that guy goes down. And I just love the passion and the leadership that he shows on a week in and week out basis. You can see the reason why he ended up getting that scholarship here. Undersized guy, but just has the heart of a champion.
And then on offense, you gave it to Jonah Coleman, obviously 75 yards to lead the backup running brigade after the injury to Michael Wiley. What went into your choice of him?
Just him coming right in, filling in for Michael Wiley, being aggressive. Every time he gets an opportunity in the game, he seems to make a play, whether it's catching the ball out the backfield or just getting some tough yards. So him being able to break off a run and show that, even if we don't have Michael Wiley this week, we have a back that the other team have to contend with, so they can't just worry about stopping Jake Delora in our receiving core. You have to worry about that running back as well in the run game and in passing game.
And you obviously gave your special teams game ball to the punt team. And it's interesting, we've been talking about special teams a little bit of late in terms of the fact that there just really aren't a lot of, there aren't a lot of return opportunities for any teams right now. It seems like in college football, you've got kickers who are kicking balls out of the end zone, so you really don't have a lot of opportunity to return any kicks. And then a lot of these teams are doing the soccer style punts, and it's very hard to return punts as well. Do you think that's good? I think about some of the big wins in Arizona history, and I would imagine it's the same across college football. And I think back to, big punt returns in games, whether, I remember when I first got here, it was Money Mike Thomas. And it seemed like every big game the Wildcats had, Money Mike was returning a punt for a touchdown, or Antoine Cason, or one of those guys, Bug Wright back in the day, returning a kick for a touchdown. But it seems like that's been taken out of the game. And I don't know, I want to ask, I guess do you think that's good for the game that we're not getting those splash plays anymore, because it seems like coaches are afraid to kick the ball to anybody?
Well, I actually think the reasoning for that is this. I think the players are better. I think that you're getting 5 stars. You're getting, not necessarily 5 stars. You're getting starters that are on the defenses now. I think the coaches are doing a great job of letting these guys know, if you want to play in the NFL, you're going to have to play special teams. A lot of times back in the day, they held back the starters from playing on special teams because you didn't want to lose 2 starters, a special team starter and an offensive or a defensive player. But now people are putting first stringers. You look up and down the kickoff or the punt coverages, those guys are starters that are in there for the most part. So the reason why I gave punt team as a whole is because now it's about not making a mistake. It's about not letting somebody getting past you and block the punt. It's about not whiffing a punt and kicking it 10 yards. It's about getting that ball up in the air. It's about guys running down in their lanes and forcing the guy up for a catch. I think it's the discipline that is more than anything that is stopping the returns. I think back in the day, again, second and third screen guys on there, guys that coaches were just trying to get on the field, so a lot of big things happen. But it's a lot of starters on those teams now.
Kelvin Ifan, the captain, 1998, is our guest, Arizona Insider, and Arizona Insiders every time you hear them are brought to you by Coors Light. Coors Light, an official corporate sponsor of Arizona Athletics. Coors Light, there's nothing like game day at Arizona. And going into a big game like this, a big game week, let's just start from your perspective as a former player, Kelvin, from the beginning of the week, when you know you've got a top 10 team coming up on Saturday. How do you want to start preparing from the get-go? I mean, obviously the kids, I believe they have Mondays off now as their day off. So when you get back for that first practice on Tuesday, what are the steps you want to take to make sure you are right and ready to go come Saturday?
I mean, it's exciting to talk about this because I remember these times clear, even though they were so long ago. But as soon as the Stanford game would be over, that's when it starts. I would tell all the guys right there, hey, we got this done right now. Now we have to focus in on Washington now. We got to lock in. So usually we come back and have the Sunday workout where you do your efforts and you do that's efforts are when you made mistakes or whatever, and we come back and we used to do some type of running or some type of conditioning for making those mistakes. And then as you said, you have Monday off. You tell everybody to get in there and get extra treatment, get extra film, because you're playing against a team that if you win, you'll get remembered forever. They're still talking about the Leap by the Lake, right? They're still talking about that 92 game, right? So if you can win big games like this, people are going to remember you and they're going to talk about it. So going into Tuesday, we're already ready. We got a head start because from Saturday, we already been talking about it. We've been meeting up at each other's house, game planning before we even talk to a coach. But on Tuesday, we got to lock into the game planning, to the personnel on the other team, to the schemes that they're trying to run. Then we got to lock in on the plays that we're adding, because we've been pretty vanilla at this point going against some of the teams that we've been going to. Now you bring out a couple of the plays that you have specifically for Washington that you've been working on in spring ball and in the summer. So you just locking in on your work, locking in on your assignments, and just making sure that everybody is healthy as possible, so you can go in there to compete against Washington with everything you got.
All right, it is the Wildcats and the Washington Huskies coming up on Saturday night at 7 o'clock. It is going to be the first big game of the Jetfish era. And Kelvin, there needs to be a big house there to support this team, because I've just been hearing so many guys talk about how, especially in 1992, that the crowd is what got us, it helped put us into a position to win a game like that.
Yeah, no, when I was younger, I used to think, who cares? You never wanted any excuse to lose or to not perform well. So who cares who's at the game? I was like, it don't matter if we can do it in a parking lot, we can do it at Kroger, wherever. Like, let's just get it done. Let's just go at it, right? I don't care who watch, But in this day and age, man, with the way social media is, as far as recruiting is concerned, because to me, recruiting is where you're going to end up beating Washington in the future, okay? But we are talking about today, but I think it has so much to do with for the future of having that place packed, making sure the recruits can see themselves here playing against a Washington and knocking off a team like that. But I just feel like it's so important because, again, the players feel that energy. You got the new kids, the social media guys. They love it when the fans are up for them and cheering and excited. It could give them that little added energy that they need to make a big play.
All right, Kelvin, we will see you on Saturday. You got me jacked up now. I'm ready to go.
Oh, man, I'm pumped, man. I can't wait to see how the guys perform.
Kelvin Ifan, he is the captain from 1998.
Thanks to Coors Light for bringing you today's Arizona Insiders on Wildcats Radio 1290. Coors Light, official corporate sponsors of Arizona Athletics. There's nothing like game day in Arizona.
All right, thanks again to Kelvin Ifan, our Arizona Insider for today. Don't forget, we are at Illegal Pete's tomorrow, 3 to 6, Bear Down Friday. J-Dub and I, the whole Wildcats Radio 1290 crew, going to be out on University Boulevard. Come on out and join us from 3 to 6. We'll get you set for the Wildcats and the Washington Huskies. That'll be at Arizona Stadium. Kickoff Saturday night at 7 o'clock. DK on the Sports Tip at Bear Down Fridays, brought to you by Corona, an official corporate sponsor of Arizona Athletics. NFL football is coming up here on Wildcats Radio 1290. A battle of the NFC North. The Detroit Lions at 2-1. At the Green Bay Packers, also 2-1. Thanks to J-Dub, thanks to Dragon Ball, thanks to Cricket, most of all, thanks to you for listening. Enjoy the game. We'll talk to you on Friday. I'm David Kelly, DK on the Sports Tip. You're listening to Wildcats Radio 1290.
The following is a presentation of Westwood One Sports.